Four undying warriors who have secretly protected humanity for centuries become targeted for their mysterious powers just as they discover a new immortal. Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to my channel, Movie Files. Elliot back again with a new Netflix original movie review. We're talking about The Old Guard, starring Charlize Theron. Very excited to talk about this film. We got a lot of big releases this weekend. This is the first one I wanted to tackle, so very excited to let you all know what I thought about this film and if you should check it out over this weekend. But before we dive into the spoiler-free discussion review, as you can see on the screen now, make sure you follow me on all my social media accounts. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my new content. Give this video a thumbs up, helps out the channel tremendously, but I also really appreciate it. And last but not least, let me know what you all thought about this movie. I would love to know, for those that have read the comic book, do you think this film did the comic book justice? And then for those like myself who hadn't read the comic book, let me know if you're now interested in reading the comic book. Do you want to see more of this movie? Maybe turn into a TV series? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and let's have some fun discussions down there. So, as I had mentioned, this is one of three kind of big releases. We have this, Palm Springs, and the Greyhound, which I will be reviewing sometime later today or over the weekend. We'll see how that goes. But this one was the one I was looking forward to the most, just because I'm a big action hero guy. I'm a big superhero guy, and I love Charlize Theron. Like, I think Charlize Theron is she's like, when people say, you know, Tom Cruise is the action star that's still left, you know, Dwayne Rock Johnson is the next one to propel the genre. Charlize Theron, for me, is in that same conversation. She's not the female version of anyone. She is her own, like, entity. She's a superstar in my eyes. So I was really excited to see her kind of carry this film and kick some ass. So starting off with this review, non-spoiler review, starting off with the positives, I really, really enjoyed the mythology and the lore. If you read, again, the premise I read there, you watch the trailer, it's like, oh, okay, this isn't DC, this isn't Marvel. Yes, it has some superhero tropes that we may have seen in the past, but it has its own identity and a really interesting concept. Again, you have these immortal kind of superheroes that have lived throughout the centuries. And you would think, oh man, these powers are cool. They're probably robbing banks. They probably live this luxurious lifestyle. It's like, no, that's like the complete opposite of this group here, which is another thing I really appreciate was the dynamic of this group. I think of a film earlier this year or late last year on Netflix, Six Underground with Ryan Reynolds, who I love, but I didn't feel the group. I didn't feel the camaraderie. I didn't feel this type of kinship in regards to just them being through it. They have this strategy. They have this approach to certain missions. There's a lot of films that have groups that just don't work with me or mesh well, but this group meshed really well to me, and that is all due to the director, Gina Prince-Bythewood, who, man, I'm so impressed by her, because I remember in the early 2000s, loving basketball and seeing her other filmography. She's such an interesting director. I thought she did a really good job of this being her, like, kind of first big budget action film, and I thought she really captured that action moments, but also the quieter moments. This film definitely has a lot more of a, I don't want to say slower pace, but definitely more quieter moments with our character, get into the psyche of the characters. Because again, you would think these abilities that they have, they would live these lifestyles. They would have mansions and cars and a bunch of money, but no, they're living a more quiet lifestyle. They're dealing with the idea of living throughout centuries. What comes with that is a lot of loss. Losing your family, losing your friends. So they really play on that aspect a lot more than what I was expecting, which was definitely welcomed. I talked about Charlize Theron, and that's where I'm going to go with this next part in regards to the positives. She, to me, is just, I don't want to say underrated or underappreciated, but I just feel like she is such an incredible actress. She gives you everything in her entire career, from action, obviously, to comedy, to drama, of course. And in this film, she gives you a little bit of everything, man. She's the leader of this group. The character that she plays in this film, who is Andy, who's been, you know, she's the OG of these superheroes and with these abilities. And I just love the backstory we get with her. I love where she's at as a person now in the society of kind of giving up on humanity due to the fact that she's seen the good, the bad, and the ugly of the humankind, and she's trying to change the world, but it's just like every time, you know, there's a bump in the road to try to see the day of light. So I just love her character. She kicks so much ass in this film, and I just love the portrayal that we get from Andy by the incredible Charlize Theron. And then the person that I have been in love with for the last 2 years, just from this one particular performance, and I'm telling you now, Do not be surprised if KiKi Layne is going to be cast as Batgirl in the Matt Reeves Batman movie. I'm calling it now. You got it on tape. She kicks a lot of ass in this film, but she also brings that humanity that we saw from If Beale Street Can Talk. I think she's such a great young actress, and she's the new guard of this old guard. And I like her dynamic. And again, the other people within this group, the other 3 members, have some complexity, have some interesting relationships, have some interesting backstories themselves. And I really love Jafar from Aladdin was in this film. And I much more preferred this performance than I did him in Aladdin, but I thought that, again, the group dynamic was really, really well done, really well developed, and you felt for these characters, which is really key. This is an action film. There isn't as much action as you may expect, especially from Netflix a couple months ago with Extraction. But when we do get those action moments, I thought it was well shot. I thought the choreograph was great. You get a mixture of that gun fu action where people are not only using guns to kill people, but they're punching people with guns, they're stabbing people. I thought the action was pretty top notch. Transition a little bit into the criticisms. This film does have a villain, which I thought was the weakest part in the entire film. And I wouldn't even, without giving too many spoilers away, I wouldn't even say they're really a villain. You know, they do things to our heroes. It's just like, oh, that's a little villainous type of actions, but what they were trying to do isn't really that bad if you think about it. But I'm not going to get into that because I don't want to get into spoilers. But you have Chiwetel Ejiofor, who I don't want to mix him into the negatives, but honestly, I love him as an actor. But they could have had anyone play that role, if I'm being completely honest with you all. Again, he's a fantastic actor. I think he does the best that he can in this role, but I think that anyone could have just played his role, so he kind of does fall in my bunch of criticisms. Again, I had said it briefly, but there are some traditional things that you see in a superhero movie, especially when you have this group that's trying to implement a new team member, and you get the kind of stumbling blocks, you get the kind of, oh, I want to, interact with my family. You get some similar beats that you've seen in other films, so there isn't a lot of originality in some aspects. The film does have a little bit of pacing issues. Like, again, I appreciate the quieter moments as this film presents with our characters, meeting them, learn about them, their past, and definitely in their present. But there is a particular aspect in this film where I thought it was just a little bit lacking in those quieter moments in regards to some of our characters making certain decisions and why they're making decisions at this point of their lives was very interesting. And I think the biggest thing that I don't want to say is a big flaw for me, but it is something that I do kind of criticize this film about, which is it sets up for future films, I think, more so than it should have. Who knows where this film is going to land. We'll see Monday if this is the #1 trending movie on Netflix, if this is talked about all over the weekend on Twitter. We'll see what the future holds, but I think this film definitely put its eggs in the basket, saying that it wants to explore more in this world and didn't really explore it within this film to a certain extent. Like, the why they have their abilities was not really explained well. And I'm not one of those people that's like, explain everything. Tell me how they got this, that, how they are where they are now. But I would have liked to have dove deeper into the mythology of their powers and how their powers were given to them and how it was chosen. And again, I don't want to get too into spoiler territory, but the film really doesn't scratch the surface at all about that. So again, a sequel, a potential, and that's one thing I want to pose to you all that have seen the film. No spoilers, but it's interesting when Netflix picks to do a series like this based on a comic book that has lore and mythology, when they choose to do a film versus a TV show. Because me personally, I thought that the film did a good job of giving us enough backstory and giving us enough mythology. There are some areas where it was lacking for sure. But I wonder if this would have worked better as a TV show, whether it be 6, 7 episodes. I know Charlize Theron is incredibly busy, and I know that it's probably hard to lock down someone for an entire 6 or 7 months or even longer to film a TV show. But I can see this being a TV show based on the backstory, those flashbacks. I can see 2 or 3 episodes just focusing on the flashbacks from a lot of our characters and also diving deeper into the lore in regards to why they were chosen and why they have these abilities. So really interesting to know for those in the comments. Are you fine with this being a movie? And if they do make a sequel, it'd be a movie, or would you have liked this to be a TV series? Because me personally, I see a lot of the potential of this being a TV series and maybe exploring the world a little bit more than what they were able to in this 2 hour and 5-minute film. So we'd love to know your thoughts on that. But as I wrap this up, again, I thought that this was a above average comic book movie that we've seen on Netflix. I thought the action was really well done. Again, I can't speak highly enough about Charlize Theron. Her performance in this film was fantastic as expected. KiKi Layne was great. The dynamic of the group was really well done. Villain was kind of lacking. Chiwetel Ejiofor, great actor, but really didn't work for me in regards to just bringing something new to the film. There is some logical things that didn't make that much sense. I wanted more of certain mythologies and lore and a little bit more of the characteristics. I will say, Don't turn this off really quickly on Netflix. Like we know, Netflix, normal credits just has an after credit scene, so stick around and see what that does, because it definitely opens up the world to more in this universe. So all in all, I'll give this a 3.5 out of 5. Again, I was very impressed by, again, the action set pieces, the characters. There are some flaws, but definitely something to check out this weekend. Like I said, 3.5 out of 5 for this film, The Old Guard, and I would be interested to see where they take this universe, whether it be a film or a TV series in the future. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Again, would you like to see this as a TV series? Would you like to see this as a sequel? What were some of your positives, your negatives? And again, if you've read the comics, did this do the comic book justice? After watching this film, do you want to explore the comics? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. So again, we got The Greyhound, we got Palm Springs. I'm going to watch Palm Springs next and probably review that later today, or if not today, tomorrow morning, and then probably Greyhound Sunday. We'll see. Tentatively scheduling those so far, but definitely expect my watch along tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central Time for Spider-Man Far From Home. So that will be tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central Time on this channel. Thank you all for watching the review. Hope you all are staying safe, and we'll see you soon.